I was lucky to win the case study competition, so I had this chance to share our experience about how Kanban helped us to build and manage a roadmap. So thanks for coming, thanks for choosing me during another competition. A few words about myself. So I'm Katya, this is me by the way. I'm originally from Belarus, but somehow it turned out that I started my career in life. A telecom company owned by Turkcell in Belarus, so I thought that would be somehow relevant. After that I was working in IT companies, in outsourcing and product companies in various roles, as a business analyst, as a project manager, as a QA. My favorite job is the only thing I can do, I just cannot write the code, which is probably the most important thing, but it depends somehow, so I'm more on the business side of things. I've experience with Scrum, SAFe, NEXUS, and during my work with the previous company, I've been doing pre-sales and technical account management for Targetprocess, and they have their own agile project management tool. So what I've been doing, I've been talking to clients, trying to understand the way they work, their processes, and what are their challenges, and to see if a tool can help them. So I kind of know a little bit the things that IT companies are struggling with, and I fell in love with Kanban about a year ago. When I really understood what Kanban is and what Kanban is not, and I had a chance to test it during a small gig with the operations department of a commercial bank in Belarus, where we tried to help them with process optimization using Agile, and it failed, and then we started with Kanban and it worked, and I'm thinking oh, that might be something good. So I'm a bit of a newbie here, and also maybe the last fun fact about me, I have a PhD in economics, and why I think it's worth mentioning, just because to me it's surprising how Kanban resonates with what I've been taught during my university times. So actually there's a lot of similarities in the approaching things, in analyzing things and managing them. So this is about me. Now about the company, we're Billwerk, a German startup. We create a tool for subscription management and recurring billing. And so we're founded in 2015. Now we have more than 40 employees. And we have headquarters in Frankfurt in Germany and development center in Minsk. So this is who we are, and we are Billwerk. When I joined the company in January this year, we had a few challenges, so I'll try to give you a little bit of an idea of what's happening in a small startup, which is growing really, really fast. So we didn't have any clarity about what to do next, and we could not agree. Everyone would shout, oh, this feature is more important than this one, and usually this kind of conversation ended up with implemented someone for the person who shouted more loudly. Also, everyone felt like all features are must-have. There are no nice-to-have ones, no delighters, and everything is top priority at the same time. Does that resonate somehow with the situation that you're having? Right? I feel like this is very typical. So development without clear requirements. This is my favorite one. You get a bunch of one-liners for the team to plan into a sprint where they don't have a clue what to do, and the developer has to spend time with stakeholders, with customers, defining the requirements, and they actually don't like it at all because they want to write code. As David mentioned, it's their identity. And as a result, we had no chance to manage customer expectations at all because we didn't know what to do ourselves and what will happen next, even next day or next week. So this is what was the actual situation when I joined as a product manager. And our CEO he's like kind of a bit of a person, as they say it in the UK, and he said, oh, we need a roadmap to solve it. Nice and shiny roadmap by a heart. So here you can see we have some features, they have the time frames, we do quarterly planning. So we need a roadmap. It will solve all our problems. So the starting point was like this. We had various types of demands, business clients, leads, stakeholders wanting us to implement this or that new functionality. We needed to work on some technical enablers, for example, upgrade to the new technology for the back-end stuff. We also had a lot of bugs from support. You know, like you have a product, it has its users, you will have bugs. And we also had this or that nice to have things from marketing to improve our rewarding and stuff. And we needed to somehow address this and set clear expectations. So what we did, we created a steering committee consisting of 11 people, mostly head of departments and 2 product managers, myself and the other guy. We decided to meet on a weekly basis and review what we call the strategic backlog. Actually, don't perceive it as something related to a strategy. We want to conquer the subscription economy world or anything. It was mostly like, it was set by our CEO. Items that we want to implement, features to implement, top something and top something to analyze. So there were like 2 boxes for this. And yeah, we started with the HISA tool. Somehow it was selected because, as you see, as you saw in the previous slide, it can build you a very nice roadmap. And in order to make this all happen, we had a development team of 7 developers, as we thought at that point in time, 5 QA, mostly junior QA, and 2 product managers, 1 UX person, and 1 Scrum Master. Development team was doing Scrum, and they continue to do Scrum with some Kanban applied to fix the dysfunctional areas. So this is what we started with, and this is what our roadmap looked like in a hub from the very beginning. So look, this is a PDF, a screenshot from PDF, and it has 2 pages. So with the development team of 7 developers and 5 people who were doing testing, we aim to implement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I guess 8, 9, up to 10 or even more because the page continues there, features at the same time. Someone would give it an estimate in person weeks, and then here you go, just go and execute on this roadmap. To me, it felt a little bit like, oh, it's not going to happen like this, so I started looking into our process and tried to understand how we actually work. And this is what we are doing now, and this is what we started with. And by the way, when I showed this slide to stakeholders, it was a really like big step forward for us, and now I will explain. So we have a timeline with sprints. We're in sprint 1, let's imagine. We have some work estimated in story points in this sprint. Here you go. It's now being implemented. And let's say a new feature request is raised by a strategic customer here. What do? We get our CTO to estimate it in person weeks. And the question is when it can be delivered. What we can say, over 2 person weeks, we are about to finish sprint 1, maybe sprint 2. But look, what actually happens? There's already some work being planned for this sprint, and some work may be, and most likely will be, carried from the previous one. So maybe we don't have enough capacity. Also, we now have a steering committee, and they need to agree that this new feature request is the top priority on top of all other things. And let's say it happens, we decide that this is the most important thing that we can do now, but actually we need to design a solution for this. We need to understand where we implement proper code, where we just cut corners and do some workarounds. And this solution design is like the main bottleneck in our company because it involves 3 people. We call it like magic troika. Troika is like 3 people in Russian. And some people like from my company, they know Russian, so we call it magic troika. They're all founders, they know the product really well, and they also know it from the technical side. And only if they come together, you can get the solution. You cannot design it themselves, and they're a bit reluctant to give this, to delegate this to the team. And can you imagine their founders would see something roll? How likely and how easy it is for them to get together in one room? Quite not easy. So solution design most likely will take us another sprint. Maybe we can do it in sprint 3. You guess what? No. Because once a solution is designed, we have some high-level diagrams and descriptions, for example, in Miro. We need to actually create issues in Jira, define acceptance criteria, and groom it with the team. So we end up with spending 2-something sprints for the analysis, even if we're very lucky and this is top priority and everyone is free and everyone is doing their best. And there's a gap. We already have like 1 month spent on this. Then eventually we have sprint 4, so maybe this time it goes into the development. We start with the implementation and testing, but what can happen? We can discover that some edge cases have not been taken into account. We also cannot foresee all the technical issues with the code, so we're likely to have something scope group. Yeah, 50% is just as an example. Maybe then we can have it delivered. And the answer is no. Unfortunately, we're not that good with continuous delivery. So we need about a week or so to have it deployed to all our servers, all staging environments and production environments. So we need 1 more sprint to release it everywhere, and we end up with sandbox release after 10 weeks with the original estimate of 2 person weeks. So this slide already had made a very huge impact, because our sales knew that whomever they're talking to, they should say, oh, we can start in a month earliest, right? And you need to be patient. Even like if you pay us hell of a lot of money, you need to, like, we cannot have it implemented like in a week or so. This was our first step, but what about the roadmap? It doesn't help with the roadmap. It's not a roadmap, and we wanted a roadmap. So my CEO came to me and said, Katya, you have everything for the roadmap. I said, no, I cannot build it to you. I feel like the primary skill for a product manager is to say no. So I said, no. You want to do the roadmap? No. And he said, okay, we have priorities from the strategic backlog, and this is just a list of features I'll show you later. What else do you need? By the way, it looks like this. We gave up using AHA and started with Excel because we didn't know exactly what we wanted to do. And if you don't know what to do, start with Excel. It helps you to structure your knowledge and data, and this is what it looks like so far. Accept priorities as an input, we need to have estimates, and this is where it gets tricky. I think Mahesh mentioned in his talk the difference, a bit of a conflict where development team works in an agile manner and sales guys and senior management, they need to have the estimates and time frames set. So the estimates. Of course, our stakeholders wanted to have person days, weeks or months for accounting purposes, for like it's easier for them to understand when it will be delivered, but development team do their Scrum with story points, right? Maybe we can use story points. But the answer was, again, what? No. This is a very simple statistics that helped us a lot. I just tried to understand, is there any correlation between story point estimates and actual time spent on this or that issue in Jira. So I'll skip the averages and percentiles, but you can see that, for example, all issues estimated as 1 story point have average lead time of 90, and issues estimated with 13 story point have average time of 4 days. Can you imagine, right? Can we use story points estimates? Yes, no. What else? I was voting for t-shirt sizes because it's very easy, like XS 1 day, S a week, and a month or so, and so on and so forth. But no one knew how to translate that into time. So, and then we just sat together with some senior developers and we were brainstorming what we can do. And we kind of understood, we never deliver something in the middle of the sprint. We just wait and deliver it as a batch. So maybe we can estimate it in sprints. And it was pretty easy. Like, how many sprints do we need to have it implemented, like developed and tested? Can we do it into, oh, it's third-party integration, most likely not. We may have some blockers and we may be like waiting for the reply, for example, from payment service provider. So we started estimating in sprints. My CEO told me, Katya, you had everything to start with. And there was one thing missing, it was capacity. And this is where we struggled with. So to understand capacity in Scrum, what do? You look at the velocity. And when you look at the velocity, it might be not very clear here, but we would deliver something about 75 story points in a sprint, then less than 25, then we can deliver up to 100 and commit to 150. Can we use story points to understand the capacity? No. So what to do? We try to play the game like, oh, we have one developer, Andrei, he's managing Minsk office and doing development. We have Ivan, who's doing development, but he's also a Scrum Master, and this person in Frankfurt who's doing third level support. And we understood that we have 5 full-time developers. Then another observation was that if one developer works on one feature at the same time, it might be not enough. Right? It's longer than 2, and if there are 3 or more, there's a lot of overhead for communication and stuff. So we defined the rule that we have 2 developers for one feature, and the other one who's left, like they just fixing bugs, right? It's not necessarily one person who's fixing bugs all the time, but someone will be fixing bugs from time to time. So this is how we came to the solution that we have our work in progress limits of 2 features. We cannot do more. And it was very clear for our stakeholders that you cannot plan 10 things at the same time. So now the process of how we build a roadmap. So I mentioned that our strategic backlog should consist of the top things to analyze and top things to implement. So to me, it really felt like options and real options. I'll stop on it a little bit later. But let's say we have real options ready for development. So then we have timeline with sprints, and we are somewhere here. So we have one slot with 2 full-time developers for one feature, another slot with 2 full-time developers for another feature, and this is our standard class of service. And we may have something being implemented, estimated in sprints, it is a fixed here, and something planned. Here you go. So let's imagine what happens if a top client comes and, oh, SOS, I need your help, I need this thing fixed in your product or implemented. So what we actually know, we cannot say we'll do it next sprint, right? We need to skip 2 to define the solution and to have it prepared for development. So actually it cannot replace feature D, but it can easily replace feature F if the steering committee decides that it's more important. So we kind of put it here and postpone this one. And what happens here, we have the expedite class of service for another feature. So this is it. And actually, the whole process looks like this. So we have stakeholders. They have brilliant ideas, right? And then they go as options to our strategic backlog. Then we turn these options into real options using solution design and analysis, and this is like our magic troika. 3 guys that should sit together. If anyone is absent, you're not moving anywhere. Then options are turned into real options as soon as the solution is defined. Then we kind of get this estimated. By the way, this is me, and I put it into the roadmap, which the template may look like this. So we have sprints, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have features with 2 slots there. Then we have sprint planning, where roadmap is one of the inputs, and we have our, what we call product backlog. This is actually everything which lives in Jira. And this is managed by another product manager, and then it gets delivered via the cadence of sprints. So this is it, probably the whole process where we are so far. Just as an example, now we have like a bit of a different tab in Excel, where the list of features rank int manually. It should have the owner. It has the type like real option or option. And then we have estimates in sprints and due dates, if any. I won't stop on categories because we're still experimenting with it and I'm not sure if it works for us, but somehow we have it. And the roadmap is also in Excel. It looks like this. So these are the dates, sprints with the IDs, 2 lanes for standard class of service, grayed out 2 sprints for expedite, and I usually create separate tabs for any changes. So each week, or even more often, I would create a new tab and copy and paste everything. So you can imagine like how many I have. This was just to show our CEO that we are evolving. We cannot have it like stick, print, and like somewhere on the wall so that we look at it. You may notice some yellow areas here. It's called miscellaneous, and this is where, let's say, we have one feature from the roadmap blended to a sprint, and the rest, the rest is taken by some other important things that we need to do, not coming from the roadmap. So our current improvement initiative, for example, we try to address the challenge and bring more alignment between strategy and execution. So how we do this, I'm more working with the strategic backlog and roadmap, and we have my colleague working with the team on the product backlog, what we call. And yeah, somehow we were a bit out of sync because he had all those requests from the support and somewhere else, and my roadmap was only the other thing. So what we did, we just started to talk to each other on a regular basis and somehow catch up before the sprint planning. And it already gives us some good results. So the orange or amber things are effort in the sprint, not from the roadmap, and the blue thing is roadmap. So like we are getting from here to there, and we are getting better and better. You can see like there's more blue things here. What else do we have? Yeah, we have a problem of making real options real, because sometimes it's so important that we cannot wait until the solution is designed. And we're a bit struggling with the first commitment point and how to perceive all that kind of analysis that should be done there. I think there's something that we discussed on this with Dimitar. What we will try to do, so let's say here we have options, we need to turn them into real options. Of course, we have this 3 people magic troika, but someone needs to kind of facilitate the meetings to make sure that they sit together and reach the agreement, and also definitely they won't be creating like acceptance criteria and stuff which is needed for development. So we have 2 product managers for this, me and my colleague, and probably like the simple question with a very predictable answer: how many options can we analyze at the same time? How many features can we have in the analysis? I guess maximum 2, because there are 2 people. And yeah, if you have more than one feature, you actually struggle if you need to define low-level requirements. What else do we know? That real options should somehow feed the roadmap. And here we have 2 slots, and guess what? We need to have minimum 2 real options analyzed and defined with the acceptance criteria at each point of time. So this is what we see, and we will try to work on these maximum and minimum limits. Yeah, hopefully it will be like even better. And another thing that we started with was the triage. This is the last thing that I wanted to tell you about. So support would sometimes post in this or that Slack channel, oh, here we have this feature request or this bugs, when do you deliver this? And we don't know, because we have a roadmap for big features and for small items, we just don't know. What we did, yeah, we tried to use the simple triage technique with defining, okay, this is what we fix now, this is what we do later, this is what we forget about and do never. But you know, like people don't like when they ask when and they and the answer is never. So I kind of tried to translate this now as next sprint, because the current sprint is usually full, so it can be next sprint for really urgent things. This year, and this year stands for later, I don't mean this like calendar year, but I mean like we're sure that we will consider it in the next couple of months or so, for the next couple of sprints. And not this year stands for never. Because you cannot say never. Maybe in a year something happens and things change, and yeah, you just have it on your roadmap or in your sprint plan. But the other trick which my team told me with this one, we added a custom field to Jira to define this like product management status or something. And the support guy told me, let's say you open a ticket to understand when product management plans is, and it says not this year, and whenever you open it, you read not this year, and this is actually like something about never, right? A little bit similar. Yeah, again, I have my nice and shiny Excel with those things. We kind of have both Excel and Jira. Ideally, it should be in Jira, but I won't tell you what I think about Jira. You just have to live with it. Yeah, so this is just something to compare the challenges in the beginning of the year and the challenges that we face now, and how simple Kanban practices helped us to achieve this. So we started with no idea what we're going to do next, and now we're thinking about how we better align strategy and execution, how to ensure that most of the effort is spent on something coming from the roadmap without any damage to other urgent things. We started with everything must have, 10 features at the same time. We just have to plan them like this because all of them are must have and very important. Now we try to define like a more strategic approach to evaluating options, because there are a lot of ideas, but we need something on top of our strategic backlog which could be relevant to the real strategy. Let's say we need to enter this or that market, we need to kind of develop this new capability in the product. Many people want to do subscription for physical goods and we don't support it, right? And this might help us to evaluate options. Yeah, we started with one-liners, and now we're thinking like we kind of moved this analysis bottleneck to the top level where we focus on making options real. And we had no way to manage customer expectations and all, and now we have a public roadmap, right? So kind of we have a roadmap and we're discussing which part of it we can share with the public. Probably this is it, just a quick slide with my contacts. I'm very happy to share experience and learn something about you. Yeah, but you can find me easily during the conference. Probably this is it. A bit ahead of schedule, so we have some time, like 10 minutes or so, if I'm not mistaken, for questions. Nothing? Right. One. Yes, please.
Okay, could you describe a bit, do you use cost of delay analysis of the features?
Yeah, I skipped that on purpose, since we have time. Yeah, let me do like this. I'll show you what we originally did with the strategic backlog. I personally wanted very much to have the risk assessment framework implemented, and I almost sold it to our CEO. He liked that. He has spent some years with McKinsey, and we defined different, like, what you call it, dimensions. So we wanted to understand what kind of revenue we may get from it, and this is a recurring revenue or paid development. We wanted to understand our costs. Internal, we develop it ourselves, or external, we order some, say, SAP integration. And we wanted to understand risks related to ourselves and competitors and deadlines. We tried to do this. Like what I did, we had the strategic backlog in the heart, then I started to talk to people who raised those items there and tried to put it in the NEXUS. And no one was able to answer me, no one from the sales, not even a CEO, how much money we will get out of this or that feature. It was completely impossible. If you do like high, medium and low, they can say, okay, everything is high, what do you do with it? And yeah, like I just started with a simple list showing like top 20, guys, do you like the order? Presenting it to the steering committee. And no one would ever even talk about this, like mentioning those dimensions. So it just lives on its own, but we try to address this with something that we call categories. Again, I better do like this. I need this one. Ooh. Yeah, now we have categories, and we try to have 4 categories. One is called benefit. That means we are sure that we will get X amount of money, some money, in a short term, right? So this is something like for paid feature development, or we have a lead who will become a customer only if we have this. These are benefits. Then we have investment. This is something big. It might be related to technical enablers or just big features that we want to implement, because we think it will make our product better. We also have risk mitigations. We're doing billing, subscription, payments, so there are a lot of regulations and standards in the EU related to this. So this is another category, an opportunity. This is something that, we may earn some money on this, but we will understand shortly, like mid-term or something. So opportunities become benefits as soon as a contract is concluded. And what we are trying to do, we try to establish a target ratio between those items. So work 50% like one slot on the benefits, and the rest, the other slot would go to mixing those categories. But it doesn't work, it doesn't bring any value so far, that's why I didn't mention it.
I have another question.
Yes, please.
About categories. So at the moment you have 4 of them.
Yeah.
Do you have any rules which number of categories should go to the sprint? So for instance, you should take not less than 1 benefit, or not less than 1 risk mitigation.
Actually what we try to do, but life tells us it's too theoretical, you cannot do it in real life. So we try to have 1 slot here for benefits each time, and here we do 1 sprint unless it's finished risk mitigation, then another one, let's say opportunity, then investment, and you just like rotate them. But actually we work on benefits because we have only like 5 full-time developers, we have 2 big clients now whom we need to onboard, and they have their requests. So, and we also have bugs, so it doesn't work so far for us. Maybe we need to do something differently.
Thank you.
All right, yes, please.
What is the strategy to move forward from options to real options?
The strategy. The strategy is very simple. Get those 3 guys together. Let's say we want to integrate prepaid cards into our system as another payment method. One of them is more like on the business and market side of things. The other one is a chief architect, he knows the product, and the other one is just like another founder and CTO. And they all need to come to an agreement what it should be, right? And this is how we turn it into like real options. Then, as a result of the solution design, we normally have a mirror board, and then someone from the product management should come, create an epic in Jira, break it down into issues, define acceptance criteria, and all the stuff like that.
Is it something like, options means product backlog and real options means backlog? Is it similar?
Yes and no. It might be similar. Options, this is like, for us, options is just the idea of a feature that we may want to implement. But we haven't spent time on defining how to implement them, and we are, which is more important, not sure that we will implement it and that we need to implement it. So, for example, I'm thinking of a real life example now. So let's say we need to do multi-currency support. This is an option for us. Now we do it in the system with workarounds, but we need to do a bit of changes in the data model and stuff to make it work properly. And this is the option, because no one had time to sit together to define the changes for the data model, what they may look at the UI, analyze use cases and stuff.